We are live on the Information Super Highway, glorious time zones to all. And this is not Tez with me. This is my friend Rachel. How you doing, Rachel?
I'm good. It's a very exciting introduction. It makes me feel ready.
Time zones happen everywhere. So a podcast is eternal, as we say. So glorious time zones to you, Rachel. Anyone could be listening to this anytime all over the world. So, it's good to be here. And so if anyone's new to the podcast or anyone doesn't know, this is one of my good friends, Rachel, and she is one of the best singers I've ever sang with in music. I met Rachel when we were performing on a show. We won't say the name of that show, Rachel, but we were performing on a show and Rachel came in as a singer. I think, we did a glam show first, didn't we? I think, and then we did the other show.
Yeah, we did.
And Rachel is one of the most badass singers I've ever sang with. And I really wanted to get Rachel onto Nothing But a Good podcast to discuss Rachel's journey through music. Because, of course, in previous episodes, we've discussed like a lot of the unsigned band journey. And one of the things that stuck with me with Rachel was one time we played a gig in Louth, and was it Louth somewhere? And Rachel and we sang Highway to Hell together, the acdc song. And Rachel was like, I did this as one of my music exams. And I was like, you did acdc as a music exam? What? So we never dove into that. But I'd love to discuss with Rachel, who we ended up performing at the same place, but go through and discuss Rachel's journey through music, basically, and someone who went through a different path in music, not sort of the unsigned band. I don't know. I'm guessing the unsigned band route didn't do that.
No.
To doing, where Rachel went and how we ended up sort of performing on the same gig. And also Rachel was singing for Nothing But a Good Time this Saturday in Stourbridge. So it's going to be rocking.
Promo, I like that. Well done.
It's good.
So, good little bit of promo.
Rachel, welcome to Nothing But a Good podcast. How are you doing?
I am great. And also the view is really nice from this pedestal that you've put me up on as well. I really enjoyed that. That intro you gave me there.
You deserve it.
Thank you.
But,
I'm good. I can't remember. I can't believe that you remember me saying that to you about Highway to Hell, because that was probably over a year ago now.
I'm weird.
Remember that gig?
I remember stuff like that all the time. But it was one of those things. I think you had your cut off jacket with a Highway to Hell with an acdc cut off logo on it, and you were like, "Oh, I sang this in an exam." So I was like, "But we'll get to that, Rachel. We'll get to that. But it just stuck with me. So like, how do you do acdc in an exam? It was just I didn't understand because it was just for me that was like different. I was like, wow. I didn't even know exams existed for acdc, unless it was like a question on, a specialist subject on Mastermind. But Rachel, so you've gone on a completely different journey than me through music, and I'd love to know where it all started, and just to educate me and the listeners into someone who went through, I'm guessing like theatre school, or where did your love of music start, and how did you decide to did you know you wanted to be a singer, and just everything, just a whole load of questions.
Okay.
Go.
All of it. Let's go. Okay. Well, first of all, I think you are right. So I think you and I have had very different timelines in our journeys.
Yes.
I've never really done any originals stuff at all. So I'm always really interested to hear about that side of things. And I know that you're very experienced in that area. So that's always cool. And I watched that podcast as well, the Fozzy bit. I enjoyed that. That was good.
Yeah. Fozzy is the dirty word on Nothing But a Good podcast. I don't know if they know, but we'll tag them and everything eventually.
But yeah, for me, I never really did any of that. I was very into musical theatre in the earlier years of my singing education. And I was kind of raised around that stuff as well. Both my parents are musical, so it was always going on in the house, and it was just, I think I was never going to do anything else. It was always going to be this. But there was always like either musical theatre or like 70s rock on in our house growing up. So it all kind of, and it's all led here, which is so funny. But I started having singing lessons when I was 8.
Wow.
And I was very lucky to have the really, really, really good singing teacher that I had. And that was the kind of the start of everything. And I was doing classical and musical theatre. I'm not doing either of those now. I'm not getting paid for any of that.
Just for layman, what's the difference then? I mean, I don't even know. What's the difference between, say, like that and singing a rock song? I mean, I literally don't know.
I think that you do, because obviously if you listen to like a bit of opera versus Highway to Hell,
of course,
there's a lot of things that sound different, but the technique at the center of it, classical technique, is so specific and it's so disciplined that that's something that I can then transfer to everything else as like a baseline at least. But then if I'm going into the classic rock kind of stuff, I'm probably going to want to go for a more like aggressive approach, and it's not going to be all like posh and wobbly as I used to describe it.
Right. Okay. But so if you're getting trained as like classical musical theatre, that's something you're getting taught. Is that like a label for that style of teaching you're getting, I guess?
I think so. I mean, when I started having lessons, musical theatre was all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because that was like one of my favourite things. I'd already been listening to it for the first 8 years of my life, and I just wanted to be those characters and do that stuff. And then I learned very quickly that I wasn't that good at acting. So I was like, okay, maybe we're not going to pursue this as a job, but we'll do it for fun on the side. And then I carried on doing all of that side of things until I had to decide where I was going to go after my A-levels. And I was at that weird crossroads where I was like, are we doing musical theatre, or are we going to be realistic and just do music and go down that contemporary route instead? And that was when I ended up going to music college. Right.
So this is so interesting to me. So you're at this crossroads, musical theatre or contemporary. Like, so what are the two? I don't know. This is total education for me. So what's the musical theatre?
Let's think about like the two best options right now at like the top. So I couldn't, but somebody else that's like very good at acting and everything could end up doing 8 shows a week in Wicked in the West End, for example. Or you can go on tour as either an originals artist or performing in a touring theatre show that is maybe doing more covers and more genre specific stuff like the shows that we've been doing.
Yeah.
And tour that all over the world. So I went that way because I can't act.
So musical theatre with the acting as well, is it?
Yeah. And I've found that I can act and I can perform in the context of a song. But, if you were going to watch a play or a musical, there's lots of talking bits without any singing. That is not going to work for me.
Oh, really?
I was like, no. Yeah.
I suppose if you're singing in a show, you've got to also you can't just be like an extra in the background. You've kind of got to do the acting as well.
Yeah, but it's so much easier to do it to music, I find.
Right.
So this is much better.
Did you have acting lessons as well?
Yeah. I did. I did drama for a long time, and I was okay, but I think I had a lot of confidence issues up to my to my early 20s, I think. And that doesn't really work if you need to be like big and extra and performing all the time.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I got into my first busy pub band that I needed to start thinking about how I was going to carry myself as a front woman. And then I was like, okay, I need to look at because performance. I think singing, I know how to do that. And I've been working on that for a long time, but performing, interacting with an audience and looking the part on stage, that's something that I've had to work on a lot.
Right.
And actually,
should they not teach you that? If you're learning singing, they won't teach you that. I
don't think they can.
Right.
I don't think anyone can. I think that comes with experience. And I've been very lucky over the years to work with a few certain people that have really had an effect on me and the way I want to perform. And I've been able to learn from different people.
Yeah.
And I think in the live performance business, that's how you get better at that. You've got to just keep doing it, but also just listen to people and try and learn from the people that are around you,
Yeah. Oh, wow. It's very, so different, of course, because I never knew, before I sang on the show we first sang, I didn't even know that world existed. I didn't know people went to theatres as such and watched, I knew they went and watched tributes, but I didn't know they went and watched cover band sort of shows or, multiple songs from different artists. I didn't know that existed really. So it was quite the education for me at the time. And I met, but then, so, I mean, you've sang on, I don't know if you want to mention the other shows you sang on.
I'm happy to, I'll mention everything.
Okay, cool.
Fine.
Cool. So how old were you when you started? So you did the contemporary. When you say you decided to do either musical theatre then to contemporary, like where does that path take you? Are you trying to get sort of employment or jobs singing as such, or learning to do singing? You do singing teaching as well. Is that like a path? Where does that path take you?
I teach singing. I teach privately in this nice space here. I consider teaching to be my day job. And that is the thing that's like more consistent and sustainable financially. So I need that. But I think performance is much more where like my heart is really.
Cool.
When I finished music college and I joined that pub band, the thing that I really wanted to do at that time was be a backing singer in a Pink Floyd tribute show.
Really?
I wanted it so much. Yeah, I really wanted to do that because at the time, really, really liked that kind of stuff. And the backing vocals on those tracks are really like intricate and well arranged and stuff. And I just really wanted to do it. And I knew that there were quite a few Floyd theatre shows in the circuit.
Yeah.
So I got an audition for one called UK Pink Floyd Experience. And then I ended up being in that show for about 3 years.
Wow.
And that was amazing because I just really wanted to do it. So like when it came along, I made sure I had a recording online of The Great Gig in the Sky.
Right. Okay.
Which is, do you know your Pink Floyd?
Not at all.
It's a track off The Dark Side of the Moon.
Right.
Which is
Okay.
probably their most well-known album.
Yeah.
But it's just a female solo for like 4 or 5 minutes. And it's just this woman just going nuts. And you know me, I'm a belty singer. I like to just go for it. And then I grew up listening to this track. So I was like, I just want to do that. And then I got into this show and I was like, oh my God, I'm actually going to have to sing that now. And I think to this day, that's the hardest song I've ever sung.
Were they big gigs with some big audiences?
Yeah. I think those are the biggest audiences I've performed to so far. So that show was really great. I did that for 3 years. And then I didn't want to be a backing singer anymore. I wanted to be something more.
Yeah.
So I decided to part ways with them. And that was fine. I still talk to a lot of them now. My other half is in that show still. So that's how we met.
Yeah, we met. Any gigs where they're like, oh, can you quickly come and do this, Rach? We need you. Have you ever done any?
I've done it. I've done a few since I left, and it was always fine. I think because it was my first big theatre show, that it just holds like a special place in my heart for me. Because that was like the first big one, right?
Yeah.
So I did that for a bit, and then progression, ambition. I was like, I want to be at the front. I'm ready to be challenged a bit more. And then I joined Women in Rock, which I was in for the 3-year mark is roughly how long I've been a show for before I'm like, what's next? So I did that, and that was great because
it's quite
I was
a big show, Women in Rock, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, but I think the main draw for that was it was just like all the songs that I love to sing. So it's just like Tina Turner, Janis Joplin, like all of that stuff, and I was like, this is amazing. This is what I want to do. So yeah, that was really great, and that was a really fun set list to do. So I did that for a few years, and then I moved on, and then I did some like random stuff, and that was when I met you.
Yes. Well, that was, I think it was 23, 24. I think we met when you were depping on the show, the previous show that I sang on that we don't mention the name. But like, so doing this, like doing these shows, you're like the Pink Floyd. So when you're doing the Pink Floyd experience, is that like, does it feel like you're in a band as such, like together? Is it the same performers all the time with a show like that? I know some tribute bands. I've sang for Bon Jovi and Voodoo Vegas all the time, supported UKGNR. I mean, they weren't playing, but Bon Jovi played a few theatres, but UKGNR were the same band all the time. So was that when we did the previous theatre show? That was all different members all the time. With that Pink Floyd experience, was that more of like a band as such? Was it?
I think every show has got its own preferences. I don't think there's always like a right or wrong, but Floyd was very like, this is your show, you're in it. And that was actually really nice because it means that you're guaranteed more work, and also it feels like you're very like part of it. But obviously in other shows when there's like debt coming in and out, stuff like that, it's challenging in other ways, but in good ways, because it means you constantly getting to work with different people, and you need to be on top of it because you don't know if everyone else is going to be on top of it. So it's just like everyone needs to just concentrate. I think it's different. I think it's different show to show, depending on like how people feel.
Is it so? Like when you're doing the Pink Floyd one, is that the set? So essentially, that was like you would like it was a bit more of a bandy band, I guess. You guys, the same sort of guys. Was that put together by a production company? Because I don't know if anyone knows listening to this. A lot of these shows do have, say, like a production company above the show, doesn't it? And then they create a show, and then they get musicians in to fill the roles, or musicians and singers to fill the roles as such. Or was the Pink Floyd one set up as a band of mates, like let's do a Pink Floyd show, and then they got together? Or was it the production company set it up when you had to audition for them and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, Floyd had one producer who was also in the show.
Right. Okay.
He works closely with a promotions company, and they will like help with venues, marketing, and everything. But all the production and creative decisions were being made from inside the show, from people that were in it. Which I think is cool because obviously you're the one that's going to be performing it, right? So you know you want to do, and you've got a vision of how it's going to work. And that was quite similar, I suppose, with Women in Rock as well. There wasn't really like a big team producing it. There was one person producing it, and then there were like little lieutenants on the inside that were doing their jobs as well. So yeah, I think with theatre shows, you kind of don't want to have like too many people in charge, because then you get the whole like committee thing and too many cooks and everything. And I think quite often these shows, probably like Nothing But a Good Time, are set up by one person that has that vision.
It's just my favorite. And then
that person.
We should have just Lawrence's favorite songs.
They're my favorite songs as well. I'm really excited. But then you get to bring in people that you trust, and you put people in place to carry out your vision.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool. Yeah.
Question. So when you are as one of the performers on this show, so I'm just going to go from one of my experiences 6 months into when I was first in this theatre world, and I was like, this is what, like this world. I was like, this is so weird. I just didn't understand. I was like floating, as you know. I was like, what? It was very weird for me. So, I was 6 months into the previous show I was on, and of course, me and Andrea were both singers in a Bon Jovi band, and one of the biggest Bon Jovi tribute bands in the world. Bon Jovi are massive, massive they were, and we're very experienced doing that. And also Andrea as well. And I know both of us, with the previous MD from when it first started, we were asking musical director, for anyone who's wondering, we were saying, because we did Living on a Prayer, and there's a section that Bon Jovi always do where it's just, you sing, we've got to hold on to what we've got, get the crowd singing it, and they'll sing the chorus. And it works very well with Bon Jovi. It's a Bon Jovi staple. And both of us said to the MD at the time, shall we should do this before Living on a Prayer. And we were turned down. Like, no, you don't do this. Don't do this. It's not a Bon Jovi tribute. We don't do this. And then that first MD left the show all of a sudden, and we went to Ireland. The show I was on, went to Ireland, and it was the first show he wasn't on. Of course, I was like, straight in. If he's not here, we should do this Bon Jovi thing, that Living on a Prayer. This Living on a Prayer thing. And we did it, and I think it was in Belfast, and the crowd went bananas. There was like 1,000 people at this one of these gigs, and they all sang that bit. And I remember the owner of the whole company messaged me, "Can you send me that video?" Because I posted it up online. They're like, "This is awesome!" Because of course you got 1,000 people singing a song at one of his shows. He thinks it's great. So it was weird for me when I did that, because I remember after the show, because we were in Ireland for 2 or 3 days, I was talking to one of the other guys on the show. I was like, man, we've been doing this show for 6 months, and I think we should have been doing that from day one. I find it really weird that we couldn't do that. Why were we just not allowed to try it? It was because coming from my world where it's like a band and you're like, dudes, let's try that. Yeah, okay, let's try this. And it was like, no, you can't. And the guy who was talking to in the show was like, well, the reason why he wouldn't let you try that. The guy who left wouldn't let you try it because if that worked, you then have got like a production role. You've produced a section of the show as such. That's what he told me. And for me, it was like, well, I don't really care. I'm just doing something that's cool for the crowd. Like, they'll enjoy it, and it's a fun part of the show. I don't care about any of that. I just want to do a cool bit. And I know it works because we've done it, in a small pub to 30 people, whatever, for a gig somewhere, and then 5,000 people at a giant festival. We know it works. It's a cool thing to do. And, like, for me, that was always quite a weird, confusing thing in my brain. I was like, well, I don't understand why it's sort of stuff like I got shut down. I just managed to crowbar it in when that guy left, and it kind of worked quite well. And through any of your experiences going through any of these shows, was there ever anything that you felt would be quite a cool thing to get in because it was produced by, say, maybe a producer and a company, but I'd love to get this in? And was there ever anything you got turned down? And do you understand maybe from the point of the company as such, maybe if you did propose something, can you understand it? Or for you, was it like, I know my role, I'm just singing and I'm just here to be the singer and I shouldn't, like I'm trying to sort of get across, like it was very strange for me to have stuff like that turned down. Do you know what I mean? Sorry. Four questions in one, Rachael.
No, I get you. I'm processing the question in my brain. I've got it.
Okay.
Got it. First of all, I would say that actually, I think I would come from a similar place as you.
Yeah.
Because before I was doing all the theatre and stuff, I was doing bands as well. They were cover bands, but that was a band setting where like a lot of stuff would get talked about. And if people had ideas, generally they would be heard and considered. It wasn't until I got into the theatre world where I may have worked for one or two people that at times were difficult to work for.
Yeah.
Remember, I must be so careful with my words here. I think every now and then in the theatre circuit, you'll work for someone that's very precious about their product, which is their show. And I don't think that's a good way to be, because I feel like if you're creating something and you're putting people in, and you're hiring professionals to carry out tasks, more often than not, those people will have something to contribute.
Yeah.
And if you're a good leader, you're able to delegate and listen to people's thoughts and not be intimidated by it. You can go, I've got these great people that work for me and they've got these ideas.
Yeah.
And they're doing it all, and I don't have to do anything. It's amazing. But there are people that aren't like that. And it's very much, this is my show and all the ideas will have to come from me. And it's not really like a good way to be, because I'm sure you'll know when you're working for somebody like that, it doesn't create a good environment for other people. Yeah. It makes things difficult. So then you feel like you can't speak up. And then you're just like, I don't feel like I can be creative. For me, I like to think I've always been quite good at knowing my role and just doing it.
Yeah.
I think there have been times in the past when I have had ideas, but I've not voiced them because I already know how that's going to go down.
Yeah.
And I also know that I'm just employed as a singer. I'm just here to do what you asked me to do. My opportunities to be creative are within the songs I'm already doing.
Yeah.
So there'll be like bits here and there where I'll go, I'm going to change that. I'm going to do a big note and everyone will love it and it'll be fine. And then I've never done something like that and then had someone come up to me and be like, you can't do that. It's not in the original. Because you have to pick your battles with things like that, right? So like, if you're a guitarist and you're doing Sweet Child of Mine, you can't mess about with that solo, right? Because everyone knows it. You need to do that as it is. But if you're doing another Guns N' Roses song that people don't know as well, that's your opportunity to have your little like creative moment. Do it there. Does that answer all of your questions?
It does a bit, but I'm sort of the thing I find interesting on it is like, so say if there's a producer taking theatre producer taking ownership of something, like what's he taking, what are he or they or whatever taking ownership of? Because let's use the Guns N' Roses example, you didn't write the song, or so what are you really taking ownership of as such? And I always found that quite a weird one for me, because it was like, you're taking ownership of, like that Living on a Prayer example, and then the guitarist at the time said to me, well, the reason why, because he's produced the show and the company would be quite annoyed. That's not in the original production of the show. Like, well,
I don't know if I agree.
And I also I'm not saying right or wrong. Like, I was confused. Like, what are they producing on this if it's Living on a Prayer?
Yeah, I don't feel like that company that we're talking about would have been annoyed that you'd made one suggestion for opening a song. I feel like at that point there's too many people involved in the conversation, and I feel like that MD that left, from what I heard, seems to have had some issues with communication and stuff like that.
No, it's not that one. It's the one before you were ever involved.
The one before?
Yeah.
No, I think I know who it is. I don't think I know. I didn't meet them.
Okay.
Like, I'll talk to people.
Okay.
And I feel like stuff like that is, because I've worked with you before, and I don't feel like you will have gone in and be like, this is my idea and we're doing it now. I feel like you would have worded it in a good way.
Yeah.
But if you're wording it to a person that doesn't know how to delegate and listen to people, then it's their fault and it's their problem,
But does that? But then say, like, let's just say if it went the other way around, like you had done the years on the Pink Floyd show, and then the new show you're in that was doing that solo female Pink Floyd track. You're like, well, I know this ending of the track or whatever it would have been would be great. But I guess it's different, isn't it? Because I guess a lot of this stuff is charted out and things like that, so you can't necessarily change a few things. But do you know what I mean? It's like,
I think it depends. Depends. If you're doing a tribute, you've got a lot less wiggle room.
Yeah.
Right. Especially with something like Pink Floyd, because the people that listen to Pink Floyd know every song inside out.
Yeah.
And you can't change that, because they'll know and they'll call you out for it in the comments on
the Pink Floyd Society. How about it for the Bon Jovi side? Quite frankly, we're looking at the you've sang that bit wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But like, with like Kids in America, for example, I know 85% of that song needs to be exactly the same as the track.
Yeah.
But I've already earmarked some moments where I might like to go up an octave and do something a bit self-indulgent just for me. But it's at a point where I know that people aren't going to be like, oh, she's not doing it like the original,
Yeah. It was always quite interesting for me, that sort of that's different. I always found that world very that's probably why it was weird that I fell into it quite weirdly. I didn't even know it existed and stuff. I found it an interesting world to be in, that sort of sometimes I felt like sometimes it wasn't like you said, like if you've got people who are experienced, you could, they've got into this creative world. Music is generally a creative job and world, isn't it, to be into? So like they would have creative ideas as such, and if there was like that Bon Jovi one was a prime example, I guess, because of me and Andrea both doing it in one of the biggest tribute bands to Bon Jovi ever, and Bon Jovi have done it for 30 years, it's going to work, and it was shot down, and when I was told, it was like the company won't like it, that was what I was like, why did it take 6 months to get this in? So it was always a bit slightly weird for me on that. It was a confusing to come from playing with like 5 of my mates, and we've worked hard to go and tour around, and but I was new to it, so it was again, like if you were doing a run of 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 gigs with us, Rach, and you were like, oh, this ending for this is wicked, and we'd probably check it out and listen and give it a go. You just do, because but then it's different worlds, isn't it? I guess sometimes, but then you've come from sort of like you said, playing in the band world as well. But so if someone went through the contemporary world, would they just get educated to learn, I guess, from the book or the chart, wouldn't they? I guess from it as well. I
think it depends. I think so when I was doing Highway to Hell at music college, every week we had something called live performance workshop. And we would get given the song a week before, and then you just learn it however you want to learn it. Me, I always learn it by listening. I have it on in the background, and then I'll learn the words. Always learn the words. You'll never see me reading the words on stage. I don't like that.
Yeah, definitely not.
And then that was one of the only sessions where all the different instrumentalists would be in the room together. So a lot of the time, like singers will be on the singer course and etc. But because it's live performance, they'll just put bands together in the moment and be like, right, you four are going to do it now. And then we would just do it, and then they'd assess us on it afterwards. But it would be a different song every week, so it would be like different genres and stuff like that. I didn't want to do all of the songs. When System of a Down came up, I thought, I don't know if I can pull this off.
Really?
But most of the songs were good.
Wow.
We did different stuff every week.
Really?
And it was good. I mean, for me at the time, that was really good because I've always tried to describe myself as a multi-genre vocalist. I like to think I can dip in and out of different styles because I've got a good understanding of what worked where. But yeah, anyway, so we were doing a different song each week, usually with just like whoever was in the room, like whatever guitarist showed up on the day, we would do the song with them. But I think the tutors, they wouldn't then be able to be like, you need to stand here and you need to say this to the audience at this time.
Right.
I don't think there's like, this is what I mean when I say I don't think there's a way to teach that. And actually, that's why I think that you bring something really nice to theatres, because you've got prior experience talking to like big crowds and stuff like that.
I watched a lot of wrestling.
Which is the key, right?
Yeah, so if you need to talk to a crowd, go watch some wrestlers do a wrestling promo. But so when you would do the workshop on Highway to Hell, would you go and watch some Bon Scott or anything like that, or any Brian Johnson doing it, or would how?
Well, I didn't need to because I was already raised on all of that. I already knew it. When that came around, I was like, this is my moment. I'm ready. But I think a lot of people kind of missed the point because lots of people would sing that in their chosen style, which might be like R&B or jazz or whatever.
Yeah.
But the arrangement is the same, and you've still got like two guitarists and everything. So you need to change the way you're singing it and just think about it. But a lot of people don't think about it, and then you get caught out. And
so why don't they think about it?
I don't know. I think it's hard to change styles if you're not ready for it.
Right.
And for me, like when I practice, I've been trying to practice like 2 or 3 times a week at the moment. So I'm not gigging as much, and I don't want to forget how to sing.
Oh yeah.
So, but instead of me like putting together a set list of different stuff and being like, I'm going to go from jazz to rock to whatever straight away, I'll do like a little jazz session on a Monday because it's easier, and I can be like ease into the week, and then by Thursday, Friday, I'm like screaming my head off. So separate it into different things, but then also just be aware of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to kind of think about stuff like that when you're approaching different songs, because if you're just going to stand there and sing it without any extra thought process, that could be better.
Do you think people detach themselves? So some people who might do that maybe have the song in front of them, System of a Down or an acdc track or whatever. And are they detached from, and 2 questions. Are they detached from the energy of the track? Say like an acdc track, like, you know, we know it's AC fucking DC. Do you know what I mean? It's acdc. Well, System of a Down, you know what I mean? It's that. And do some people go into these workshops and detach themselves from the actual acdc of it, and it's just the notes on the paper, and they need to sing? Is that? Yeah. I guess that's where. So when we were in that Lauf gig, that was the question. Like where I was like shocked. So you do this as an exam. So I guess is that. Yeah. So you're like grew up with it, and you're like listening to the acdc, and you know it. But is there a lot of other people which would go and be like, here's the notes. I need to hit every single note perfectly. I just need to sing this perfectly. And then when you're getting judged or your exams being done, are they judging you on the notes, or are they judging you on the, for want of a better term, the authenticity of an acdc track or something like that?
I think it's a bit of everything, right? So I think obviously in some songs, certain notes are important that you need to hit, right? Like the end of Sweet Child of Mine for you. Mm-hmm. But then in other songs, I really think you can tell the difference between the people that are connecting to the song and the people that aren't. And there are people that will just want to get through it as quick as possible because it's a song that they don't like, right? Which is going to happen.
Yeah.
in a workshop like that when you're doing a different song every week. And like I said, when
Cool.
BYOB came up, I was like, what do you want me to do with this? I tried, but like I know it wasn't my best work, and I hopefully will never gig it again. But I feel like whatever song you get given, if you can find a way to connect to it and really like think about what you're singing, that's going to improve the overall performance a lot, and then that's going to have an effect on how other people perceive it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I
feel like that's how you're going to be judged. You could like sing a song and it might not be your best work vocally, but if you're really like emotionally into it and you're going for it with your performance and stuff, people aren't going to know.
And what
And I
about
don't.
the exams? Are they judging it on the? Are they judging it on the? I mean, I know an audience will be like, oh, they gave us some stink on that ACD song. That was awesome. But if you're getting an exam on it, are they examining you on the notes you're hitting perfectly, or is it are they seeing how much stink you've got in it as well? For example,
I would say at college level, they're judging you on everything,
right?
As they should, because if you want to be like that level of a performer, everything needs to be considered. You need to be able to be like technically proficient, hitting all the notes, doing all of that, but also you need to be performing it as well, and don't just stand there and sing it, because that's for radio, isn't it?
Yeah. So, and if you've got that, say you get A star or however they judge it, I don't know what the rating they give you is. Can you then go to shows and go, I got this A on? No, is that not how it works?
No, I have a degree in professional musicianship, but having that has not got me any show. That didn't get me onto UK Pink Floyd Experience. My recording of Great Gig in the Sky got me onto that show. But I wouldn't have been able to get to the level I was at when I recorded that piece without having 3 years at music college and disciplining myself to like learn as much as I could in that time, and then be able to apply everything.
Right. Okay. Wow. It's all different paths.
Is that good?
It is good. It's different paths, isn't it? It's different. I've always wondered as well with singing as well, and this is interesting. I guess you had your parents who are very musical.
Yes.
My family not at all. Really, my mum sang in the car, or whatever, but we didn't do any more sport and stuff like that. And I've always wondered with singing, do you think it's nature or nurture that gets a singing voice? Are you born with it, or are you going to your parents raising you and all that? Could you have still?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Do you mean like because Meryl, for instance, she can't sing at all. it's terrible. She can't talk a tune. So, but if she did loads of learning, could she? And you're a singing teacher as well, so could she sing a note in tune, for instance? What do you think?
I think natural ability definitely gives you a springboard.
Yeah.
And you're going to develop a lot quicker and potentially to a higher level than other people that don't have that natural ability.
Right.
However, I do think that everyone can and should be allowed to sing, and everyone should be allowed to enjoy it.
We want people to come on Saturday. If you're sure we want Meryl to sing, I don't know.
I want Meryl to have a go. I want her to have a good time. That's it. As a teacher, I've had students in the past where I always do a little test at the start of my lesson, just so I can get an assessment of like where we're at and what we need to do. And I'll play a note on my keyboard and ask them to sing it to me.
Right.
If I play the note and they sing the note back, fine. If I play the note and they sing another note and they can't hear that it's the same note, that it's not the same note, I know there's going to be a bit more work to do.
Yeah.
But with time, I've been able to get them to a place where they can either hear that it's not right or they're on the same note eventually. So it's possible. It's just going to take a bit longer.
Right. Okay.
But for me, I think my parents always said that I had natural talent ready before they got me lessons.
Yeah.
But also it was just always encouraged. In like when I was growing up, I was really fortunate to grow up in that musical house where it was like, it was cool to sing and it was cool to play an instrument and just have music on all the time and do stuff like that. And I know a lot of people that didn't have that upbringing that would have liked to do music, but it just wasn't encouraged as much, which is a shame.
Do you think people's vocal ranges are nature or nurture? So say like me being a high singer, listening to Aerosmith and Bon Jovi, when I was a kid, when my parents would go out I would
Yeah.
I would get a little toy microphone, and this is like teenage years, but I'd have a little stand that someone bought for me as a joke because we used to do karaoke all the time, and I'd just play whatever these days, Bon Jovi these days, super loud, and I'd just sing along to it. No training, no nothing, like never did a singing lesson ever. So say like, I'm just using me as an example, but I don't mean to be self-indulgent, but like, so me having a high singing range, singing all that rock stuff, was I born with that? Or was that, say, like me as a kid, did that form my vocal cords to hit that stuff, singing that stuff? I've always wondered about that.
Yeah, I think that we all have the range that we have. Right. As you grow up, like from a kid to an adult, obviously your voice is going to go through changes as it develops and as you develop. But I feel like we have the range that we have.
Yeah.
I've got a decent range, but when I was maybe in my early teens, I couldn't hit the notes that I can hit now because I hadn't like unlocked that part of my voice yet.
Yeah.
But I think it was always going to be the range that I have now. And I think that goes for everyone.
Huh. Very interesting. I've always wondered that. It's always singers never get to really talk to each other very often, do we? About like.
I know it's good. It's good. I've enjoyed this. I think
the secret science of singing, is it nature or nurture? And I've always wondered. I've always wondered about that. But it's been really awesome to talk to you, Rachael. I'm very much looking forward to performing with you on Saturday at Stourbridge. And if anyone listens to this after the gig, it was awesome. So yeah.
If you packed out, it was
the best gig ever. But man, we have to do this again, Rachael, and get some more chats about the different we have to come back, get you back on after you've done your first Nothing But a Good Time gig. I'm looking forward to rocking out with you on stage. It's going to be good.
Saturday's going to be great. Thank you for having me today. I really enjoyed this, and I feel like you asked really good questions as well. Because I said to you before, I was like, "What are you going to ask me?" And you're like, "It's a surprise." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
That's how you do good podcasting. Because if you talk about what you're going to talk about before, you end up ruining. It's not a natural conversation. You sort of plan it out. Because me and Taz, and many years doing wrestling podcasts, and we never would mention the wrestling event until we're actually pressing record. Because otherwise, you've ruin the natural flow of the conversation. So
I wish I'd been on one of your wrestling podcasts. I would have really enjoyed that.
You would have been one of the first females ever to be on a wrestling podcast, I think. Unless it was the listeners' mums. Sorry, wrestling fans. But the wrestling fans. Sorry, guys. But Rachael, where can everybody find you on the information superhighway?
Gosh, you can find me on Instagram. My handle is Rachael Sings a Lot. And I'm on YouTube as Rachael Maria. That's probably the best bet.
And apart from the awesomeness of Nothing But a Good Time coming up, have you got any other shows people can come see you perform at?
I'm working on some stuff, but it's a secret.
Oh, well, it's going to be the best secret that anyone's ever heard when you release it to the whole wide world. So, Rachael, thank you very much for being on the podcast. It's been awesome. If anyone wants to check out Nothing But a Good Times tour dates, check out nothingbutagoodtime.co.uk. We've actually just uploaded live videos. I didn't realise loads of people were going to our website to check it out. I thought we had loads of traffic there. So I've actually updated the website and
put retro.
Review. Yeah, it's wild. It made like 1,500 views in a month. I was like, wow, this is quite a lot of traffic. So I better get some other assets on there for people to check us out. So I put a load of reviews on there and a load of live videos and stuff. And I'm sure there'll be some videos of Rachael performing with us on Saturday that will go up on the information superhighway that everyone can check out. And anyone wants to come and see us play? Yes, we're playing at Stourbridge on Saturday. This podcast is going out Friday morning, the day before. And then at the end of the month, we're going to Ireland and then, Dublin and Belfast. But you can check it all out on nothingbutagoodtime.co.uk. If you listen to the podcast, please hit 5 stars on all the platforms, Spotify, all that good stuff. Rachael, thank you so much for being here. And we will see you guys on the flip flop. Goodbye.
Bye.